everybody. I want to welcome to our program Judge Inga Lewis-Shannon. Welcome, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
We're very excited today for this section of Partners in Conversation. And we are going to talk to Judge Inga about forming partnerships within the community, and especially partnership that involves the university. I am excited for this. As everybody knows, I'm Monica Solinas-Saunders. I'm an associate professor for the School of Public and Environmental Affairs at the Gary campus of Indiana University. And here with us is Judge Inga Lewis-Shannon. I'm going to give Judge Inga the opportunity to introduce herself and tell us what she does. I just can anticipate that she's the judge for the Gary Truancy Court, and she directs the project Rebuild. So my first question for Judge Inga is, please tell us who you are and what you do in the Northwest Indiana community.
I am a magistrate judge in Gary City Court. And what I've done is I formed a nonprofit foundation, and basically the purpose of it is to, one, determine the causes of truancy, and two, to help address those causes. And pretty much that's one of the things that I do. I have many hats, but that's probably the one I'm most passionate about.
It sounds wonderful. So here I'm going to ask you a second question. What brought you where you are right now? And you are in a fantastic spot. We are really happy and excited to hear more about your career. What brought you here in this position?
Well, I was hired as a magistrate judge probably back in about 1996. And initially, as a magistrate judge, I deal with misdemeanor offenses, and they're adult offenses. And so one of the things that I found as a result of 20 years of experience is that many young people were coming before me, and they had one thing in common, and that is they did not have a high school education. And they kept getting involved in misdemeanor or small crimes, for lack of a better word. Batteries, criminal trespass, possession of marijuana, possession of paraphernalia. And they were just getting involved in all of these negative activities. And now, 20 years later, their children started coming before me. And one of the things I said that we have to do is break this cycle. And so in doing that, I just kind of researched the law. And the reality is I do not have jurisdiction over children. I'm not a juvenile judge. I'm an adult judge. But typically the underlying issue with truancy and other juvenile issues is parenting and lack thereof. And the other thing I thought about is most parents absolutely love their children and they want what's best for them. But my thought is that if they knew better, then they would do better. And so we formed this partnership with the Gary Police Department, the Gary Courts, as well as the Juvenile Center. And what we do is we actually advise the parents that if you don't send your children to school, you have in fact violated the law. It is a Class B misdemeanor and it's punishable by 180 days in jail. So we explain that to the parents. And when the children actually come before me, the parents come, but they bring the children as well because they're ordered to do so. And then we undergo parent education. We teach them you need to be active and involved in your child's education. And they take classes. We also address the students, and we look at, in addition to, in many cases, lack of parent involvement. One of the other issues are, I mean, there's several. Some of it, the children are being bullied. In some cases, the children, and quite a few, the children have been exposed to trauma in some sort. There's homelessness. There's just so many things that cause truancy. And so what we did was we kind of, at Project Rebuild, we serve as almost the nucleus. Or if you think about an octopus, we're in the middle. And what we do is we connect all of these families with services that are actually out there for the whole purpose of helping the family. And so in addition to the families coming to me, we connect them with services that they may need. If many need counseling, many need, help with housing. Food is an issue. Sometimes we have food deserts. So there's so much that's going on. And as connecting these families, we've had wonderful results. And we moved a little bit further and to the issue of tutoring. And one of the things, like I said, that we recognize is that some of these children are so far behind, and so they're embarrassed and they act out in class because they don't want to appear as if they don't know. And so that's why we've connected with several major tutoring firms or sites to offer math. And then that's one of the partnerships that we're looking at, or that we're excited to have with Indiana University, is that you will help us to provide tutoring for the children who need it the most.
So I'm glad you started talking about this partnership, because we're going to leap into this part of the interview. Before we get into Indiana University, I would like you to share more about your experience working with other agencies within the Northwest Indiana community. You mentioned the Juvenile Justice Center, you mentioned other agencies. So how has that experience been for you?
It's absolutely been wonderful and refreshing. Specifically, our relationship with the Juvenile Center. We have obtained, as of late, we have just received a wonderful level of support. Because as I told you earlier, I really don't have jurisdiction over children. And so in many situations where I threaten the parents, I mean, some children definitely don't want their parents to get in control, to get in trouble. Some students are a little bit more challenging, and they think of it, well, if my mom goes to jail, it's a party at my house. And so now with the Juvenile Justice Center involved, it's that bite and a little bit of control, a little bit more control and discipline we can work with the students on. And so that has been an absolute wonderful relationship. And I'll give you an example. We took students over to Mathnasium in Cherville. And for the most part, all of the students were very well behaved. But there's always a couple that cut up a little bit. And so when the chief probation officer, Kevin Elkins, came out and he brought his staff with us, he was able to kind of calm some of the children down where my staff could not do it or was challenged. They probably could have done it, but there was a bit of a challenge because the children didn't necessarily have the level of And I hate to say fear, but that's pretty much it. Because they understood that we don't necessarily have jurisdiction over them. So that partnership is wonderful. Indiana Parenting Institute is another partnership that we have. And they just really worked with the parents. And I believe that it was almost kind of a support group where, a lot of parents are facing similar challenges, especially with teenagers, because I don't know anything that's more difficult than a teenager. And so they were definitely able to kind of work through their problems, share, different solutions. And then the discussion is guided by a facilitator who is absolutely great in her role as facilitator and helping to move the discussion to the positive and just giving them, helpful hints. So that relationship is wonderful. We work with a lot of non-for-profits because I require my families actually to do community service. I feel like it's very important that our children know the importance of giving back to the community. And so we require them to do community service. And so we work with several of the agencies or churches and other foundations and things. And the good thing about that is it's a mutually beneficial process where they have the families doing the community service, but they also provide mentorship for my children. And it really, it affects, because you never know who a child is going to bond with. And in many situations, they've reached out and they bonded with ministers, with people in different organizations. And so it's been wonderful.
This really shows that it truly takes a village to raise children. And we know that there is no shame in that. And sometimes families may need a little extra hug from the community. And I think you're doing fantastic work to raise these children in the right way so that they actually become contributing members of society and they will enjoy their life as well. So talking about the community, I consider the university part of the community, and we tend to portray the university as an agent of change. Whenever the university engages, we work in the community. So tell us a little bit about your experience with Indiana University.
Well, my initial experience is I am an alumni. So I actually started at Indiana University my senior year of high school. And then, so I went to IU Northwest. And then after I graduated from high school, I went to Bloomington. And so, my experience with Indiana University personally has been excellent. And as it relates to this, and then my son just graduated from Indiana University. So that also is that also is wonderful. Now, in this partnership, I'm just so excited because one of the issues that many of my children explain to me is that they don't feel like there's an opportunity for them to have one-on-one with their teachers, because typically a classroom size is hopefully on a good day, maybe 18 or 20, but on a bad day, it may be even larger than that. And so the students do not have that one-on-one and they're ashamed to ask questions. And so one of the things that I absolutely wanted is for our students to have that individualized attention so that we meet the child exactly where they are and we work with developing them. There's nothing wrong with the fact that they're a little bit behind or struggling, but we're going to help them address that. And so I'm so excited about working with Indiana University, specifically the School of Education, because what they're going to do is be able to provide my children with one-on-one, or at absolute worst, one-on-three tutoring services and mentoring services. The other thing that and I believe it's mutually beneficial, because I believe that the education students specifically will learn just how it is to actually in the field work, and then to work with children and students who've been the victim of trauma or who have special needs, all of that. So I think that I'm really excited that it will be a mutually beneficial relationship.
As it should be, because we're talking about partnership and we're talking about community engagement, and the essential element of community engagement is actually this mutuality, where all the partners benefit from the alliance. So I'm glad you feel this way, since I represent the university today, and I would like to ask you about this specific project we are talking about, the project Truancy Court, the project Rebuild and the Truancy Court. Where do you see the project down the road? Do you think this is an opportunity for a long-term partnership with the university, or do you think this is just a one and done?
No, I absolutely foresee and have envisioned this being a long-term relationship, and working with the university as well as the Department of Education. We have a massive issue within our city as it relates to matriculation. Many of our students, they end up dropping out. And so I believe this is a opportunity, to ensure that the children actually make it through. And then the other benefit is that we're preparing them and giving them the vision and the goal of furthering their education beyond high school. And just seeing other opportunities, other careers, and being able to, the world is, it's limitless. They can do whatever, they like, as long as they prepare themselves for it. So I think that, and in working with the Department of Education, as well as the Gary Community Schools and the other charter schools, I believe it will really help them and give them the ability to truly work with and allow the children to benefit from education. Because one of the issues that we have in many situations is behavior. Some of our children act out. And so this gives the teachers kind of an opportunity to reach out and get some assistance. And, as far as the university is concerned, it really, it helps as far as mentoring. It helps as far as, just the tutoring and the hands-on. And I wish and just hope that this will just move beyond this, So hopefully one day we'll stop truancy altogether, and we'll just be able to provide these students with the education that they so richly deserve. So hopefully one day it'll come to that, but I always want to keep this particular relationship going, because it's absolutely necessary and needed. And I think it will always be needed.
This is extremely promising, and the university is very excited about this project. So we are truly grateful for this partnership that now is extending, and we have also had conversations with IUPUI in Indianapolis, and we really, from our part, the university really believes that this could be a long-term partnership that eventually, once all the needs are met, can transform into something more constructive for the future of the students. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today, and there will be perhaps some more interviews with Judge Inga. So everybody who is fond of this channel, please check with us. And until then, please stay safe. Thank you, Judge Inga.
Thank you.